the thing that's the most powerful savior is described as a lamb. In fact, he's described as a lion and a lamb. That is some really deep sacred imagery, guys. And I don't know that people really understand the relationship of the lion and the lamb. Don't let me tell you. Because it is a very powerful, important, sacred concept that I think we've kind of missed the point of. So here it goes, right? The lion can lay with the lamb because the lamb is so innocent. It doesn't have a negative or threatening thought or molecule in its energy space. Because it is completely non-threatening, even to what we would perceive as the most vicious predator. The most vicious predator cannot detect anything threatening in this being, and so it has no reason to attack it. The divine message that is repeated again and again in many forms is that the innocent are safe. Those who threaten nothing are safe, even with what appears to be the most vicious. And so now let's flip it around. The lion is not called to protect. So really the lion is the protective force of everything. But the protective force is not called to action unless there is a threat. So the deadliness, the violence is called out in response to the perception of a threat in thought or beingness, not actuality. To be truly safe is to be truly trusting when you truly believe in the wellness, when you really have faith in the being in front of you, that it will not harm you because it comes from love and you are both made from love. And the only thing you have ever been told to fear or avoid is fear and all of its things, right? All of its makings. That you are safe. It is only when you fall into fear and empower that you could actually be put into a world by a loving God that sets you up into some kind of weird gauntlet to prove you can choose good enough, or you face eternal torture. And in order to give you an out, even though you're a child of this loving being, its extra special child had to come and murder itself in a blood sacrifice to save you. But it's all powerful, so it could have just changed the rules, but instead you had to play out this whole miserable, awful tale to the point where your savior is still nailed to a cross, still dead in imagery. And you still put on a massive celebration for its death. You say it's about the resurrection, but I've been there my whole life. It ain't about the resurrection. It is about the torture, the misery, the guilt, and the absolute death of your Savior. That's what Easter is, let's be honest. And that's the story of a loving God that you gobble down like divine pudding. And at the time I was 6 years old, I knew it was BS. And I wasn't allowed to say anything. I'm like, wait a minute. It doesn't make me better than anyone. I want to be very clear. It just means why are we willing to believe such terrible lies about our own creator? I'm offended for God. A loving God would only put you in a safe place with perfectly free will. Now, what does that mean? That means you have the choice for love or fear. And if you want to choose to empower your family and your children with fear, then they are going to experience those consequences, which is nightmarish. When you believe fear is valid, you are in a responsive conscious environment that responds to your thoughts and feelings. Your feelings are very important. When you live scared, which is anxiety, your life is going to be relatively scary because that's what you're vibing at all the time. And that's what you're asking from this responsive environment, because how you feel is what you get. You have to try and test this environment to not fear it anymore, though, because we've all been trained to fear it. You can also choose to empower your children in life on love and trust, which is how the environment's actually designed and the creator's designed. So all source of power is behind trust and love. But nobody's trying it, so nobody sees it. Everybody just sees the power of fear and goes, eat or be eaten, do fear better, do scary better, do oppression better. Yeah, because that's worked for thousands of years. We've played it out, guys. What we haven't tried, other than like the dude you still have nailed to the cross, is loving instead. Teaching your kids to trust your fellow man. I don't care the color. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care what gender or half gender they are, or mixed, or whatever you want to say. Teach your children to love and trust them.